Hi there everyone, it's Greg Vitti. I'm here in Highwood, Illinois, my hometown. We're nestled in between Highland Park and Lake Forest. Most of the Highwood people would consider themselves Highland Parkers also, since we go to Highland Park High School typically. We're around here. And we're right now in the Highwood Bocce Courts, and we're lucky enough to have Bruce Bertucci with us. Bruce, thanks for coming out.
My pleasure, Greg.
Bruce is a historian of Highwood, and the Bertucci family's been here since the early 1900s, as the Vitti family has. And so we're a tight-knit community, and Bruce, why don't you talk?
Well, I'm going to talk about the Highwood Bocce Courts.
Highwood Bocce, a great place to start.
Which came up here, and they built a few courts outdoors in 1967. In 1969, the mayor, Fidel Guinea, he bought the land from the railroads, and all of the Highwood workers built this place as the city provided all the materials, and they did it on their own time. They would come after work, and then they would come on both weekends, and it took them about a year. And the electricians and the bricklayers, they all did this for the love of the game.
Well, and Highwood was very big with manual labor. I mean, we had great every kind of labor here, and so we're talking about fantastic masons that were here, and I'm sure they had fun doing it too.
And they built all the homes in Lake Forest, Lake Bluff, Glencoe, Highland Park, everything down the shore.
So Bruce, I understand you do a walking tour of Highwood.
I do a Highwood historical cocktail tour.
Fantastic.
Comes over at the park over there on Wednesday nights in the summer, and we walk around town, and I talk about the history of the buildings and who had the restaurants, bars, and business, and we continue in a big circle, stopping to have a cocktail here and at the Toadstool, and we finish up at Del Rio, where Bill Pagatti talks of. Del Rio's been here 101 years, and Bill has a lot of Highwood history.
So we'll give you some Highwood history here. Highwood was the only town on the North Shore that was allowed to serve alcohol. So because of that, we were very attractive to all of the other towns. We had like 30 bars and restaurants in the town. Bruce actually had a few of the classic bars, and so did his brother. And then he had a fantastic restaurant also.
Thank you. It was first I had the Hideout, then we went to Rainbows, and I was 25 years there. My brother was at Boomers for 13 years, and then I bought him out, and I put Bertucci's there. And we ran into 24 years at Bertucci's.
Wow, it's 24 years. That's impressive.
38 years in the business, and I do have to say, the original, my father, was a real guy who knew everything about Highwood.
Oh,
he could go back to the 30s and 20s, and when he passed, I took over.
The people who should be doing this show are your father and my father,
right?
Because these two, Blaise Vitti and your dad's name, Bruno Bertucci, they knew everybody in the town, every last person in the town, and they knew who they were related to, where they went to school, just knew everything about them, and it was a love fest here in Highwood. And I think that it still has a, I think the bocce ball court really helps to keep that community going.
When I was young, I thought, oh, look at all these old guys over there, and now I'm here. But you know, my dad, even in the 80s, 90s, and 2000s, he had groups from Highland Park High School that went back to the 30s. He had a luncheon once a month, and they would all come, and well, it was just a great.
My mother grew up in Highwood. She actually they had an apartment above Scornovacos of all places to start, and she went to Oak Terrace School, and she was always very, very proud of Highwood. And so she brought me in 5th grade to the Highwood Community Center. And the Highwood Community Center, for us growing up here, was nirvana. We played international basketball in a small fry league that was just second to none. And we got to have people from New York and New Jersey, all over the world, basically. Puerto Rico come here, play. I remember playing the ping pong. I can still remember all the songs on the jukebox. It was just, it gives me goosebumps thinking about it. Like Ozzie Mazzetta took it over from Don Schreiner. Marv Baker was the best coach that I ever had, and it's kind of a sad thing about it because we should have a lot more coaches that were better. But in either case, he was incredible, and they really changed your life. I mean, you played little guys, didn't you?
I was with Don Schreiner, and from 56 to 60, and I played in the first tournament. And we went to Puerto Rico twice and played in the summer and played basketball and even baseball, because Don was
right.
the greatest. He would run leagues from basketball from November to April and baseball from April to September. He kept us busy, and it was just a wonderful young
I remember that
experience.
VW van he had. He'd
Right.
sell the candy and stuff.
Sell the candy.
So let's talk about some of the candy stores. We had Mike's Candy
And Mary's.
and Mary's.
And Mary's, of
So
course.
if you were a kid in Highwood, you loved Mike's and Mary's.
Yes.
Some of my scariest times were when I was walking as a little kid to St. James School, and I would happen to go by the Silver Dollar, and they had the night, the change of the shifts. So it's like 7 in the morning, and these people are just getting off work, and they're having beers and shots, and the smoke is coming out. I just remember going, oh, I'm never going to do that.
Well, the Silver Dollar in Fabry was open at 6 in the morning, and the workers would come and have a couple of chiquettes, which means a shot, and beer, and they'd go to work, and then they'd come back at 4:30 and have a couple more and go home.
Well, then as we got older, I remember going to the different bars, going to Boomers, going to Rainbows, going to Babe's Haven or Hunters or Gus and Romans, and then afterwards we'd all meet at the Hoagie Hut and harass Badger and laugh and joke. Like, that was as much fun as going to the bars.
Open till 4 in the morning, and you saw a lot of people sleeping in their eggs. But
And no question about it.
when you talk about Babe's Haven, the original place was on Waukegan Avenue, and the line between Highland Park and Highwood cut through, and you bought your beers in Highwood, and then you walked 5-10 feet, went to the bathroom in Highland Park. So it was really a cool place.
Yeah, I remember all those old bars. Gus and Romans, Ziggy's,
Wooden Nickel.
Wooden Nickel. My father and Mr. Moretti and Zinzola owned those. That was the worst job I ever had in my life, was cleaning out the basement at Wooden Nickel with Jeff Carbine. And I remember coming out with the soot everywhere. We had masks, but it didn't matter. We were probably eating that asbestos. It was brutal, but we survived it.
That building was built in the 20s, and it's still going strong.
Well, I'll tell you what, Tom Garett, he was a bartender for 21 years at Silver Dollar. He's a bit younger than me, but he was always the nicest guy, the best barkeep, and he wanted like 5% of the business after he was the guy running it, basically, and they said no. So he started Toads, and that's
Took all the business.
It took all the business, and we've all supported him very well, and I'm glad that he's still here. And so Highwood had a plan about 15 years ago that started, that they wanted to start building some bigger buildings, and the Metro helped them with this business plan. And so now they've built 3 larger buildings, and we're going to see a couple more coming online soon. It's very exciting to see the vibrance of Highwood coming back with all of these new tenants and owners that have come to Highwood.
And a big thanks to Celebrate Highwood.
Oh,
Who's
gosh.
put on all these events, and they've brought so many people in the town, and Highwood is as busy as it was in the 70s.
Well, Eric Fahlberg, to his credit, he's one of the aldermen here, was in New Hampshire, and he happened to see this pumpkin fest where they were trying to carve and light more pumpkins than anyone ever had in the world. And he brought that to Highwood, and the enthusiasm over this pumpkin fest has been over the top phenomenal. And it's brought so many people together, and then that kind of morphed into some other great programs. They do something I know for Thanksgiving. They do something for Christmas time.
And they also do walks.
They do walks.
They do a lot of walks around town, and they do a Christmas walk, and they do summer walks, and they start about 11 o'clock, and they're still walking about 8 or 9 at night. And there's Nashwood, which is on
That's phenomenal.
which is on the Labor Day weekend, and for 3 days, and people have bands outside, inside, and the town is just flooded with
Yeah, it's phenomenal.
very.
So, thank you so much, Bruce, for
I
such
enjoyed
short
it,
notice
Mr. Greg.
coming and talking with us. And God bless you and your family.
Thank you, and best to you.
Okay.